Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Underwater Photography Show. I'm Matthew Sullivan.
And I'm Alex Mustard.
And on the channel a lot, we talk about competitions and photo contests and all that kind of thing a lot. We both enjoy them, so we've lauded the praises of them countless times on here. But recently, there's been a few things that kind of made us think that we should talk about the negatives of photo competitions. Because sometimes they bring out the worst in people. There's a lot of ethical issues around competitions, and two things in particular. I know you found. A video by a guy on YouTube called Dwayne Patton. He's big on YouTube. He does topside wildlife photography, and he posted a video recently about having to disqualify an image from a competition. And I know you dug into it a bit more than I did, so we'll get to that. And then a friend of the show who's been on several times, Andrew McLachlan, recently made a post on Facebook about the Canadian Geographic Photographer of the Year competition, and some image rights issues with those, which leads into a larger discussion about all sorts of
Mm.
ethical issues surrounding competitions. But we'll touch on Dwade's thing first, tongue twister, then Andrew's, and then we'll talk about some of the negatives of competitions in general. But I know Dwade's video was the kind of the genesis for this.
Yeah, and I think when these things happen, they kind of always leave you reeling a little bit like, I just can't believe anyone would do that, but they do. And it was kind of a week ago that I saw these, and the reason I kind of thought we should cover this is I think both these posts I saw within about a minute of each other. So I was like, oh my god, but I think you're very right that we tend to big up competitions a lot, and I think it's also good to remind people, there is an element both as an entrant you need to be aware of, and also be aware that there are some naughty people out there, in terms of the entrance as well. So it's there's some naughty competitions and naughty entrants. So Dwayne's one was about a photo that he was judging a wildlife photography competition. He's not he's a great YouTuber. Makes really great content there. I don't think this was in a big international contest, but I may be wrong. From what I remember of the video, he didn't say what contest it was in, which I think is fair enough. Um, but I guess you could figure out where he was judging and work it out pretty quickly. But he had a picture in there, which was a really nice picture, and it was a picture, and we'll put a link to his video below in our so you can watch the original video about this. And it was a picture of an eagle coming into land on a tree stump, and it was a beautiful, nice, attractive subject. The eagle had its wings out, beautiful, clean background. And when judging it, he, and kudos to him because it's not always easy to spot these things, just felt it didn't quite look right. And I have to say, looking at it quickly, I wouldn't have spotted it. It was, nicely done, and made him dig deeper into the picture. And he went back to the organisers and said, I feel, it's a great picture, but it doesn't feel quite right to me. Can you check it out? And the first alarm bell that came back was the photographer said, oh, because of a computer crash, he no longer had the raw file and could only provide a DNG file for it, which kind of, is, I think why you would end up with just a DNG and not a raw file. You might as well just say, I've lost the raw file rather than coming up with, I've got a DNG. But that kind of also, when they had some suspicions, made them a little bit more suspicious. And with a little bit of searching online, actually found that the eagle was actually taken from a completely different photo by a completely different photographer. And they found exactly the same eagle that had been taken, reversed, and stuck onto this new picture. And clearly the photographer had gone out there and just taken a picture of a stump on which to put the eagle, which, it makes us smile and laugh and, and sort of shake our heads in disbelief. But these sort of things do go on. And when called on these things, I think photographers, you know, don't, in my experience, they never back down. I remember in one of the early days of the wet pixel competition that went on to become, is now known as a DPG Masters, we had a dodgy photo in that. And even back then, this is a long time ago, 15, 18 years ago, we had a picture in that where the photographer provided a raw file and it was a faked raw file. It made no sense, the raw file, but it did say, it did have the right designation as the end thing, and it was an image. Now, it has a resolution and an aspect ratio that the camera was unable to take. but which is what set the alarm bells off on it, and it was a clearly faked image. But people go as far as, if they go down this line, they don't tend to go, oh yeah, you've got me. They do tend to double down on their deceit and follow it all the way through. And I think often it happens that people put pictures in kind of like, oh, I never win, I'm not going to win, I'll put this in, it's pretty cool, I made this on my computer, it might get through a few rounds and I might learn, oh yeah, if I can do shots like this, I can do better. Or they might think I might just pick up a lowly prize, or they might be really devious and go, oh, I'm going to win the overall prize with this, aren't I? And I'm going to become famous. But I suspect it's more of the latter, that people think, oh, they might just end up somewhere in the results and no one's going to pay too much attention. And then obviously when they then find out they're in with a real shot, they then start doubling down on the lies. And this is exposed the well-known, or a topside example. But I think it goes to show that, it's very important that contests make these checks, and adhere to the rules that they're laying out. And I think, one of the lessons that the wildlife photographer learned very quickly when they kind of had these two big controversies, probably, I guess it's 15 years ago, the first one now, and the second one about 10 years ago. And there've been others which have been a little bit less public. I remember a few years ago, there was a picture that was released in the press preview of the wildlife photographer in September, which then was not in the final collection come October. And I never found out what the cause of that was. I didn't go digging, but that was quite unpublic. Anyway, the two very well-known ones.
Yeah, there's the wolf jumping over the fence that won overall, that was then discovered to be a captive trained wolf. And then my favorite of all time, because it's the most ridiculous thing, I think it was the category winner for animals in the environment one year, was the anteater on the glowing termite mound in Brazil. And then it came out that that's a stuffed anteater from a museum that somebody had taken, put out in a field, photographed it, and then brought it back. And it was only discovered because somebody happened to go into that museum who had seen the picture and was like, oh, that anteater looks awfully like the one that was in that image. And it's in the exact same pose and all that kind of thing. And then if you look at the image a bit more carefully, it doesn't really make sense, because it was a long exposure where you can, to get the glow from the termites or the ants or whatever they were. And then but the anteater is completely static. But just, it's one of those things that kind of just goes to show that people are willing to go to extreme lengths just to have their images seen globally, or to win accolades, or like you said, become famous, or whatever it happens to be. And it's just kind of a shame, because I would imagine that would also lead to some shenanigans in the field as well, with regards to manipulating subjects or things like that. If people are that desperate for competition success, that they're willing to pull something like that, why wouldn't they go and manipulate some tiny critter or something like that for the sake of their photographs? And it's one of those things. If competitions are great, but they can bring out a dark side in photographers who are desperate for the success in them.
Yeah, and I think that, the juries are as careful as they can be, but I think when you're there trying to spend a lot of energy deciding if you like this picture more than that picture, and you love all the pictures and one of them's got to go out, it's very hard at the same time to then put a really cynical hat on and go, although these are all incredible photos and I'm trying to think about how much I love them, at the same time, do I completely trust all of them? Is there anything out there that rings an alarm bell? And I think it's quite a hard thing to do. And I know that the juries, particularly the big competitions that spend time on the judging, they do, they'll stop and say to the judges, have a quick look at these again. Are there any that ring any alarm bells? But it's pictures I'm sure have snuck through that involve these things. I remember I was, obviously awarded. I was awarded the year that the wolf won overall, and I remember on the night that it was just the most amazing moment. And because all the winners are, you look at them and go, God, how did they ever get that? That's just a once in a lifetime shot. I think when you see those once in a lifetime shots, you just think, wow, I've spent a whole evening looking at these amazing once in a lifetime images. I can believe someone, knew where a wolf lived, set up a camera trap and got lucky, because, it was done with a beam of light, and, if you have the camera trap set up perfectly. And because so many of the shots just seem to be the result of incredible amounts of dedication and a lot of luck. And there's lots of images that seem impossible. That's kind of the level that people are looking for in the wildlife photographer. So I remember on the night not thinking twice about it and just going, wow, what an amazing moment to capture. And that one was very shocking when it came out. The Anteater one, I don't remember if it was a year that I was there at the awards, just because it didn't seem that remarkable. But I think the thing about that was unusual is the photographer who took that had been awarded many times in the past. So this was someone who'd had a track record of success, and mainly doing plant photography, and then had done this different shot involving a stuffed animal, and had kind of gone with it. And that kind of crazy that someone who'd had success, that kind of knew the competition and was in lots of competitions internationally, was a big well-known photographer in those competitions, that suddenly that person decided to cheat. Anyway, it's always good to remind ourselves about these things, that contests are great, but they can bring out the wrong side in the photographers. And then
I was just going to read Andrew's comment real quick, unless do you have it pulled up there?
No, I don't. I sent it to you. Sorry.
Yep. So I have it. So Andrew posted the other day, the biggest rights grabbing contest in Canada, Canadian Geographic, will use submitted images for their calendars, magazines, and other needs for profit, while the photographer gets nothing. They state their intention to grab all rights to your images in the fine print. Each entrant and his, her, their parent or guardian irrevocably and in perpetuity grants the competition sponsor a worldwide, royalty-free, irrevocable, and non-exclusive right and license to use, copy, adapt, transmit, communicate, publicly display, and perform, distribute, and create compilations and derivative works or merchandise from the photographic entity to promote their competition sponsor. So Canadian Geographic is a massive competition. I think they get 20-something thousand submissions every year. So it's a big contest, and it's the prizes are really nice, and I know people have been awarded in it before. But that's one of those things. Like I've entered plenty of competitions and never really paid attention to the fine print, for lack of a better term.
I think if you see your peers and friends entering certain contests, you often aren't so careful about them. If everyone else is doing it, fair enough. And I would say that's quite a good rule of thumb. I think there are a lot of new contests that come out, and if you haven't seen photographers that you really respect entering those competitions, or they don't seem to get all the photographers you would expect maybe entering those competitions, I think that's probably where you do need to be a little bit careful. I think sometimes these competitions are absolutely set up to be rights grabs, particularly if you've got a big publication and it's got all sorts of spin-off publications and things getting their hands on loads of imagery that they can use for free, and they can crop and they can do this with and that with and get it exactly the way they want to. And there seems to be, there's so many, photographers taking fantastic images these days. You don't need everyone to enter to get a massive pool of incredible imagery. Then yes, you can see why there's a temptation to create these rights grab competitions, and that's the very nasty side of it. And it definitely exists, and it's very good that photographers out these competitions when they spot these infringements. I think sometimes these things come about by accident when you get a new competition come along and they're not kind of really sure, and they often can go to another competition and basically kind of copy and paste their rules. And I know there've been some rights grab ones in the past where when challenged on it, they were like, oh, sorry, we thought this is what everyone said, just to protect themselves. We haven't got any plans to sell your images or make money from your images. We just were doing this to protect ourselves so that we couldn't get sued if we put your pictures in the press to promote the results or something. And so there have been some rights grab ones, which I would say were definitely a mistake of a naive organizer. But I would also question any photographer who's going to a new competition. If you're so desperate for success that, a brand new competition comes up and you want to enter it, I would always say that the competitions you should aim for are the ones that you hear other photographers showing off about being winners in.
Yeah.
So, so there's but yes, anything new, I would always check it. And occasionally you might have a long running competition that, a magazine or an organization gets taken over by a new entity and they decide to change the terms of a competition. So yeah,
Yeah.
we're all at fault for not reading the small print, but
Yeah.
it's understandable that sometimes people do get caught out with these things.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, but like we said at the beginning, we both love and enter competitions. They're a fun way to measure yourself against, everybody else out there. I don't think they're the end all be all of photography. I don't think that's how they should be. But um, with that said, we wanted to point out some of the downsides to them as well, and some of the naughty behaviors that they inspire in people. And hopefully, nobody watching
yeah.
this wants to do any of that kind of stuff. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I can hear you wrapping up the episode, but I was just going to
Oh,
mention
oh yeah,
one other thing, which is a little bit more in the grey area of rights grab, and it's not a rights grab in any case, but there's a very well respected competition in the UK that runs, and they publish a book of winners. But in order to make their book of winners a little bit more meaty, what they do is they also select a number of images which aren't winners in the competition, but the editor of the book really, really likes and wants to put them in the book to make the book a little bit more meaty. So you have kind of the winning pictures, the commended pictures, and then a bunch of other pictures that didn't win anything, but are in the book to make the book good. And I know a number of photographers have been very upset by that in the past, because they basically weren't winners, can't add it to their CV or anything. They can't say, I was highly commended or I was a winner in this competition. But their picture is then out there and seen by everyone, and they can't then save it for another competition, because obviously there are a lot of competitions around, and so that is not, they weren't trying to do a rights grab. It does say in the entry terms, if you enter, we reserve the right to publish your picture in our results book, but I think people got upset when they realized that meant you might be a non-winner but still in the results book.
yeah, yeah,
Which people kind of think, oh, it'd be nice to be published, but actually, if you believe in your shot and just feel you got unlucky with the judges that day, you'd kind of maybe want to save that shot to either re-enter in the same competition the next year when the judges change, or in another competition with different judges. So
yeah,
yeah, that's kind of a bit more in the grey area. But yeah, these things happen. So it's important to read the fine print, not to be a cheater, because ultimately, if you are a cheater, you either end up with a win that it doesn't mean anything, and that's your best case, or your worst case is you get found out and, like the wolf photographer, like the anteater photographer, banned forevermore, never published again as a photographer. It's
yeah,
it's end of career stuff. And I think people should be very aware of that. And I think when it comes to entering late at night in a hurry, maybe you don't think all that through. But then when the image gets through, and if you do ever get into that situation where maybe you entered something and it is a bit dubious, much better to hold your hand up and say, yes, actually, I did lift that octopus into midwater. I did move that seahorse so I could get a clean background. Yeah, yeah. I think you should exclude the image, because the competition will respect you. They won't ban you for that. And you can, or you can just say, if you cheated and it suddenly gets a raw file request, you can say, sorry, I'm going to have to withdraw the image. I haven't got the raw file. At least then you kind of have your chance to back out. I think the doubling
yeah,
down
yeah.
is where you really are starting to go, okay, this is getting serious now. I should get out of this. But I've never heard of anyone backing out in any of the contests I've judged. So when challenged,
Um, well, now we will wrap up.
yes,
So if
sorry.
anybody has any comments or questions, or any feelings one way or another about this, please leave them down below. And as always, we will see you guys next time.